What if the very thing people laughed at in you became the reason the world remembers your name? What if the voice they said was too deep, too strange, became the most iconic voice in all of India? This is not just a story about cinema. It is a story about rejection, resilience, and the quiet fire of a man who refused to bow down. This is the journey of Amitabh Bachchan. Long before the world called him Big B, Amitabh was just a young man with a dream. He didn't come from a film family. He didn't have the connections, the money, or the perfect hero look that Bollywood loved in the 1960s. When he went to auditions, producers shook their heads. Some said, "You are too tall, too awkward." Others laughed at his baritone voice, saying it was unfit for radio, unfit for cinema. Imagine hearing that, the very sound of your existence being rejected. Most people would give up. But Amitabh didn't. He tried to become a radio announcer at All India Radio. He was rejected. He tried film after film, and for years, nothing worked. His first movies barely sold tickets. The industry whispered, "He is a flop. He won't survive." In fact, he was rejected so many times that at one point he was almost ready to pack his bags and leave Mumbai. But here, as the thing about destiny, it does not open its doors to those who knock once. It opens to those who keep knocking, even when their hands bleed. In 1973, something shifted. Amitabh was cast in Zangir. For the first time, Bollywood saw not the romantic, soft-spoken hero, but the angry young man, a role that only Amitabh's voice, height, and intensity could bring alive. The same deep baritone that was once mocked became his signature. The same towering presence that seemed awkward became his strength. And from there, history was written. Amitabh Bachchan rose to dominate Bollywood for decades, becoming not just an actor, but a cultural phenomenon. But this story is not just about one film. It's about resilience. Psychologists say rejection activates the same part of the brain that physical pain does. That's why it hurts so much. But they also say that people who learn to reinterpret rejection, not as a verdict, but as feedback, build extraordinary resilience. Amitabh didn't see rejection as the end of his story. He saw it as a page in his story. And that made all the difference. Even after success, life tested him again. In 1982, while filming Coolie, he suffered a near-fatal injury. The entire nation prayed for him. He survived. Years later, his career faced decline. His company went bankrupt, and critics once again said, "It's over for him." But once again, he reinvented himself, returning not just as an actor, but as a television host, businessman, and mentor. Failure followed him at many stages, but so did his ability to rise again. Think about this. The same voice that was too deep for radio became the most recognized voice of Indian cinema. The same man who was once called a flop became the superstar millions looked up to. It's almost poetic. Life often hides our gifts inside our wounds. What others mock in you today may be the very thing that sets you apart tomorrow. So the question is not, will people accept me? The question is, will I accept myself long enough for the world to see my true worth? Experts in success psychology talk about something called grit, passion, and perseverance for long-term goals. Studies show grit is a stronger predictor of success than talent or intelligence. Amitabh Bachchan is the living embodiment of grit. His career proves that rejection, failure, even near death, cannot defeat a person who refuses to stop. So here is the parable for our times. Imagine a man standing at the gates of Bollywood, rejected again. Each no is a stone thrown at him. Most would retreat, but he collects those stones one by one until he builds a fortress. And from that fortress he rises, not just as an actor, but as a legend. This is not just Amitabh's story. It can be yours, too. My friends, if you're facing rejection in your studies, in your work, in your relationships, remember this: rejection is not the end. It is redirection. Amitabh Bachchan's journey shows us that failure at the start does not define your ending. What defines you is how many times you choose to stand back up. So don't let the world's laughter silence your voice. One day, that very voice could echo through history. If this story inspired you, share it with someone who is about to give up. Subscribe to Mindshift Stories for more modern parables that will shift your perspective. And never forget, the failures you face today may be the foundation of the legend you become tomorrow. Final thought: Amitabh Bachchan was once the man who didn't fit in. Today, he is the man no one can replace. And that, my friends, is the power of never giving up.